So episode 20. Damn, how did we get here? you know, for me, the things that I do, I generally see them as like a brief vision, and because I see them before they happen, then I can actually make them happen. So that's how I get started and get going. And um, everything just organically, is created. So today with my morning cardio, that's where I get all my ideas. Um, because I'm physically exhausting my body, then my mind is filled with these ideas. It's like a fog has been lifted, and all of a sudden I can see things more clearly. So that is when I need to just start writing. And I do, so I'm at the gym, I'm running. We're about like 22 minutes in, and then a thought comes to me, and so I start walking instead of running, and I pull out my phone and go to the notes section and start putting this down, because the thought that comes to me is so meaningful that I have to put it down. If I don't put it down, then I lose the thought. The words are coming to me in a way that fit, and if I let it go from me, then I can't seem to find the words that I had received that first time. So that's why it's so important for me to acknowledge these moments when they happen, and act on them. And if I just let myself open up my mouth and speak and just say the things that come to my mind, and not even worry about the people that are around me, it's like I'm having a conversation with my subconscious mind. And then all my truths come out. And I don't have to fight with them anymore. You know, Sometimes we put up these walls because we do them to protect us. And we don't want to give people what is really meaningful to us, because in the past we've felt rejected, and because of that we think that we need to be always on guard, and we don't. But we need to find these things that help us to be vulnerable, to speak what's on our mind and what's in our hearts, really. And that way we get so much more out of the experience that we have here on earth. Okay, so one sec, let me just move my mouse real quick. So I've been feeling like I'm being pulled in multiple directions, because when I receive these moments of inspiration, I ask myself, do I want to write about this, or do I want to podcast about this? And I'm just gonna take it as what I feel in that day. So just let it happen organically. Sometimes write and sometimes podcast. And um, what I'd like to do, one of my thoughts that I had that I'd like to do with this podcast is I want to provide like snippets of my writing and expand on them. Because if I can do that in podcast form, then you can get so much more out of those things that can be read or even heard. But if we expand on those ideas, then we can see that there's a much more profound meaning in those things. So, okay. It's interesting because when I talk about things that I really care about, I I like let my walls down, and it feels so much more natural for me. So I've come to terms with my demons. What once enticed fear within me has now found love and acceptance. So this was the thought that came to me as I was running 22 minutes in, and I just had to write it down real quick. And as the words came, I put them down, and it was that meaningful. It was meaningful enough to me to do that. And these were those words. So, with each waking day, my very Shinigami watches over me, ready to take the life of the one I've been holding on to so tightly. Since I forgot who I was for a while in this body, I've become so attached to. When my body finally reaches its most vulnerable state, I become so relaxed in the feeling of that safety that I pass out. To then wake up to the question, what are you most afraid of? With nowhere to run, I must face my greatest fear. So with each night that I do that, I'm also taught what I'm capable of. And the demons that I once thought to push away, I now could see that they were me. And I opened up my arms to embrace them as I would with a person that I cared for. I had misunderstood you for so long. You were not something separate from me, but instead the face of one of the sides of the same coin. So I let go of that fear, and I became the very demon who haunted me. That if I'm left in a room in darkness, that my energy will emanate that no other soul could reside in the same place. That's why I'm safety. And I'm the solace of those around me. That's why even my mom would come to me and she'd ask to speak with me, and she would pour her heart out. And I gave her a shoulder to cry on. That she didn't need to always keep her composure, but she could feel that this was a safe place to really open up. And I absolutely appreciate it when other people notice that I sometimes need a shoulder to cry on. Because I can't always be the strong one. Like, I know that I'm 6'1", over 200 pounds, but I'm also real. I go through the same, pains that other people go through. And, when I have opened up to people, when I have been given that chance, I realize that they always wanted to help me. That, they end up telling me, that you should have told me. You should have told me when you were going through that, and that I would have helped you. But all you have to do is ask. And you're not inconveniencing another person by telling them your problems. Don't feel that way. There are people who are open to wanting to talk about these things. And I've even been told to promise to not, make the mistakes that I had made, and always be willing to talk about things as I go through them. And it's comforting. It's comforting to go through that, because I realize that I'm not alone in this. That people care, and actually they've always cared. But because of moments that I've had where I have needed help and I didn't feel like anyone was coming to help me, that it's because they didn't know. It's because I needed to just speak up and tell them, ask. And then I can feel the same comfort, the same embrace that I gave to my very demons. And that was really meaningful to me. So thanks for listening, guys.